Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, September 6, 2018. We have a few impacts to talk about for the next couple of days. For today, we're mainly talking about thunderstorms, a mix of wet and dry thunderstorms moving up through the central part of the Great Basin, with some wetter thunderstorms over central and eastern Utah and up into western Wyoming. We'll also see some wind move into far western Nevada today, and that wind will continue for the next couple of days with some increasing wind speeds over central Idaho on Friday and then expanding down into northern Nevada by Saturday. We had a fairly active day across central and southern portions of the Great Basin yesterday with some pretty good precipitation totals there over southern Nevada and southwest Utah, with totals between a quarter to a half an inch of precipitation. Fires remained fairly active over central Idaho and portions of northern and western Nevada. The observed precipitation for the past 7 and 14 days are shown here. This does not include precipitation from yesterday, and we have seen a drying trend over the last couple of weeks over southwest Idaho and much of northern and central Nevada. ERCs are still pretty high for the time of year over much of the northern half of the geographic area. We're still sitting between the 80th and 97th percentile across much of these areas, and a few stations are setting records or near records for the time of year, particularly over southern Idaho, northeast Nevada, and northwest Utah. Taking a closer look at a couple of these areas here, for far northeast Nevada, we can see those values are sitting right at the historical maximums for the time of year, which is close to that 97th percentile. And then also over far western Nevada, the higher elevations there, GB11, above normal for the time of year, although they have come down just a tad, they're still pretty close to those historical maximums. This morning's satellite imagery is showing a little bit of moisture moving through Idaho today, which will keep temperatures slightly cooler and maybe bring some very isolated thunderstorms to the higher elevations there. And then we're also looking at some moisture remaining in place over central and eastern Utah, which will likely kick off another round of showers and thunderstorms there. So for this afternoon, still looking at a little bit of lingering moisture over the central and eastern portions of the Great Basin for some of those thunderstorms to pop up. And looking at a little bit closer detail here of where we're expecting to see those thunderstorms, we could see between a tenth to 2/10 of an inch of rain over the higher elevations of mainly central and mainly eastern Utah, and then those central Idaho mountains. Winds will be generally light across much of the area, except where we'll see those gusty outflows from the thunderstorms in far western Nevada. By Friday, we'll have a little bit of a break in the thunderstorm activity as the air mass dries out a bit, but we could still see some gusty winds there in eastern Idaho. Shown here, we can see the precipitation coverage is decreasing by Friday as the air mass dries out, and winds will be generally light across most of the area, except some slightly higher winds there in east central Idaho and far western Nevada. On Saturday, winds will pick up across southern Idaho and northern Nevada and western Nevada. The air mass will remain dry with sunny skies and warm temperatures region-wide. Minimum relative humidities will be in the single digits on Saturday across Nevada, with slightly higher values across the north and the east. The strongest winds will come in over eastern and central Idaho and western Wyoming, with gusts up to 35-45 miles an hour there, with slightly lower gusts over much of Nevada and southwest Utah. The 3-day precipitation totals are shown here. We're really not expecting much in the way of precipitation except for today over the higher elevations of central and eastern Utah and up into western Wyoming. On Sunday, we'll begin to see that area of low pressure start to move further east towards land, and will continue to remain in that warm and dry weather pattern across the area on Sunday. But by Monday, we'll start to see winds increase, particularly across Idaho and northern Nevada, as that low begins to make its way further south. On Tuesday, the low will move into the Pacific Northwest, bringing increased gusty winds to most of the geographic area. These winds will continue on Wednesday as that trough continues to move further south and east. We are looking for kind of a classic early fall trough here with prefrontal warm, dry, windy conditions across most of the geographic area through the middle of next week. The difference with this system, however, is that we're not going to see a whole lot of precipitation moving through the geographic area with this trough. Most of the moisture stays north of the area, although the central Idaho mountains could see a little bit of precipitation. The extended forecast from the Climate Prediction Center for September 13th through the 19th is calling for above normal temperatures across much of the geographic area and below normal precipitation again across much of the geographic area. So there's really no significant relief in sight to the warm, dry conditions and the very high fire danger indices that we're observing across the geographic area. This concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.